The battle between good and evil seems to be escalating. It is easy to blame politicians, government, or poor leadership, but behind all of that is a spiritual battle. Pastor Alan Jackson's new book, Angels, Demons, and You, talk about the reality of this battle and the spiritual realm that exists around us. It has a real impact on us every day. As you read, you will discover that angels and demons are not imaginary, they actually exist. You can find them playing a variety of roles throughout the Bible, and they're still influencing the world today. We don't need to be afraid, but we do need to be aware and prepared. Angels, Demons, and You provides valuable insight, practical tools, and biblical truth to help you recognize the spiritual battle around us and become a difference maker in our generation. Get your copy today at alanjackson.com/angels. After October 7th, we have seen the war between Israel and Hamas continue, but there is a domestic issue that is also continually bubbling up. Understandably, a lot of people in the Israel advocacy circles, Jewish Americans, are very worried about the rise of anti-Semitism, which there is a rise in Jew hatred and anti-Semitism. In fact, we will publish a video of a dialogue that I had at Illinois State University that basically took my breath away. The guy was blaming the Jews for everything. Outright anti-Semitism. However, what is happening is that there is, by some, a push to lower the bar and lower the threshold of what is considered to be anti-Semitic. We must be very careful doing this. So Ambassador David Friedman, a man that I respect and that I've gotten to know, I have a different perspective than him on this. So essentially, we'll play this piece of tape first, and then I'll respond. But I also just need to reinforce my bona fides. I don't think there's a Jewish person my age that has a longer or a clear record of support and sympathy with the Jewish people or opposition to Jew hatred or a love of Israel. But I have a disagreement with Ambassador Friedman here, and it's part of a trend and a pattern that I think we need to mention here on this program. Let's play cut 261.
As my predecessor said, I condemn anti-Semitism on the right and on the left. I'm an equal opportunity condemner of anti-Semitism.
You're alluding to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, none of them are any good on the right. On the left, I don't like any of these anti-Semites, and I'm not shy about it. But the government, the United States government, or the government of France, or the government of any other country, has the power to rein in anti-Semitism in a much more effective way. And you know, people say, well, you know, the governments are not in the business of changing the way people think. That's true, but, you know, to my thinking, most people who are, you know, anti-Semites, most of these people running around, we're not going to win their hearts and minds because they don't have hearts and they don't have minds. So, you know, how are we going to, there's no reason to think we're ever going to convince them, but we can deport them, we can put them in jail, we can make their lives miserable, we can cut off their funding, and that's what the Trump administration is doing for the first time.
So I think he's conflating two things. I'm going to give a charitable view first, that he's conflating domestic American free speech, First Amendment protected speech with the importation of foreigners coming into the country. So he was talking about deporting student visa holders. However, it's a little bit of a conflation here. And let me go a step further. And it's not because he said, look, governments do have power in Germany to go knock on your door and say that you are pushing hate speech. I have to wonder, Ambassador Friedman, do you think it's okay? Should it be legal to be anti-Semitic in Germany? I think, yes, it should be legal. It's wrong, it's repulsive, but it should be legal. The First Amendment and our strict freedom of speech is one of America's greatest rights that sets us apart from every other country in the world. One of the central promises of Trump's 2024 campaign was to restore and protect American freedom of speech. 5 years ago, our elites tried to destroy freedom of speech in America in order to stop racism. Immediately and predictably stopping racism became a justification for wrecking our cities and wrecking the lives of people who did nothing wrong. The criminal witch hunts against President Trump and Fani Willis and Jack Smith both tried to criminalize President Trump's speech, indicting him for making tweets or delivering speeches. Racism and anti-Semitism are both evil and should be opposed. But a government organized around jailing, impoverishing, or silencing people based on racism is what our enemies wanted. Just because you don't like a person's opinion does not mean they're an anti-Semite. And David Friedman did say in prison. He did say in prison I don't think we should even imprison the green card holders. Sending them back to their country, fine. But time out, imprisonment because you think somebody has a different view on Israel than you do, a view that I don't even have. I understand that there is sensitivities post October 7th. Trust me, I get it. But I think this language needs to be calmed down dramatically. Even alluding to the fact that Tucker Carlson should be imprisoned because he has a heterodox view on a topic, or that Candace Owens should be imprisoned. He said that word. I'm not putting those words in his mouth. And to be fair to him, the most charitable view is he's conflating the Mahmoud Kamil with the domestic issue, but then she brought up the American examples, and then he continued. He'll have to clarify. If we go too far, we will hurt the country, and it won't actually make anti-Semitism better. And this is my final point. Anti-Semitism actually grows when you overly censor thoughts and speech. Free speech is the answer, not the problem.